site. This grew from two circumstances. I'm inspired by working with specific locations. It's what I find most interesting and engaging, and it's what I want to communicate through my work. And two, it's cheaper than having a studio. I haven't had a studio since I graduated, and I can't really afford one, and I'm not really sure that I actually need one. And this is a work called Survivalist from 2008, and this is in Northampton bus station, which I don't know if anyone knows Northampton bus station at all. But it's a giant 1970s brutalist monster of a building, which divides opinion. Some people want to knock it down because they think it's hideous and ugly, and other people want to save it because they think it's a beautiful example of brutalist design. And when commissioned for this work, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Who commissioned you?
It was a group called Open Spaces, Open Places that work out of Northampton. And this is underneath the bus station, so above those sort of squares in the ceiling is where all the buses come in and go out. And people sort of mill around in that space. And so it was a miraculously empty day on the tour photo, because the different ways that you can see at the back and the side there that go out, they go to a shopping centre and a car park and then outside as well. So it's sort of a congregational areas before you go up to the bus station or as you arrive. And this work was really about people's reactions to the bus station and wanting to work with that. And it's all built on site, so there's, again, I don't have a studio. This is how I usually operate. So I just turn up, we ring fenced around that area. I got a load of timber in and started to build whilst people are milling around. And it managed to sort of please both camps of people, because those that really hate the building thought that it was hilarious that I was building this sort of semi-organic structure that I mean, the intention of it is that it's growing out of that box, and it's the station itself trying to save a bit of itself. And people that hate the building thought it was hilarious, and people that like the building thought it was really sweet that the building was trying to save itself. So I managed to sort of please both sides, so everyone sort of enjoyed it. I mean, it was semi-intentional. It was a nice outcome for that. So much of my work is made from found materials, and material left over from other artists' shows. And this grew from the same circumstances I mentioned earlier. I can't afford to get materials, but also using these materials sourced from the location, it informs the work as well, so it can kind of guide how the work operates. This was Vigilance in 2007 in Barrow in Furness, and in Barrow they make, or did make, nuclear submarines. And walking around Barrow before I started to build, I noticed that it has a big impact on the town. You should be walking around it at 5 o'clock and the streets are empty, and then work kicks out and suddenly the whole town is full of people who've just been spilled out of this massive warehouse where they make, where they assemble these submarines. So I decided to make a scale model of a submarine in this shop space, as near to scale as I could find out from searching for nuclear submarine on the internet. And originally I was going to build it out of timber that I could find and board. But then when I got back into the space, I realised that it's really big. The space is a lot bigger than I thought, and I'm going to need a lot of timber to do this. It's not going to happen in 5 days, so I had to change what I was going to do. So I went around scouting for more stuff, and if you go up, there's like a corridor behind that, that's the door to the shop, and there's a little walkway, and if you go up that way you get into a big indoor market where they just chuck out cardboard boxes by the crate load. So I quickly developed a method of building this with cardboard boxes, so it's all suspended from the suspended ceiling. So I took all the tiles out where the form would come through the ceiling and strung them up. And it was a close thing. I think I got the last piece tied in. I tidied up. I took the step ladders back. I took the surplus cardboard back to the recycling place. I took photographs. I packed up and I got on the train that quickly. So it was a lot of work. But, it would have been impossible using the method that I was thinking of doing it. So that's one of the things I quite like about using the found stuff, is that it causes you to think on your feet and sort of try and invent methods of doing things. More recently, I've been questioning the purpose of my work and the purpose of art in general, almost reaching some kind of personal crisis, trying to reconcile the idea of making work without making compromises in order to make money, but also trying to actually support myself through my work, because I feel very strongly that artists should be paid for their time. So I've been constantly fighting with myself over whether I should alter my practice to make it more commercially viable, or stick to my principles of trying to make the art that I feel is important. So I've tried to stop working for free. I think it's an important step in professionalising yourself, and also not being taken for granted. I also want to eliminate the broadly accepted image of a struggling artist who has to pay his or her dues by working for nothing. It's a negative stereotype that perpetuates an outmoded ideal and makes people, artists and others, think that it's okay to not pay artists and not be paid. This is wrong. When you spend a week setting up a show, this is time you should be paid for. You're doing a job. Working can have its benefits. It can be part of networking, of building relationships. You may also gain exposure if the show is well promoted. These things need to be taken into account and thought about carefully when you're approached for or applying for a project. I did this show in Stoke-on-Trent in 2006. This was for Conjunction 06 with Airspace Gallery. At the time they were in